Hi everyone, welcome to Lab 3, and today we'll be focusing on how to conduct a literature search, generate an annotated bibliography, convert that over to a proper introduction, as well as how to make an informed consent form for the memory task you guys will be developing. In this video in particular, I want to focus on some things that you may want to consider while doing your literature search, as well as some of the information we're expecting you to include in your annotated bibliography, and lastly, some of the things you may see on the template we provided for the consent form. I will not be talking about how to write up your introduction in too much detail, because I trust you all know how to do that from the work you've done previously in research methods. So before you start your literature search, one thing I will recommend that you do is make sure you are connected to CU's VPN. I'm currently doing that through the Cisco AnyConnect application. And the reason why I recommend that is because let's say you're looking up your articles and you come across one and you actually want to read this article and you want to download the PDF and annotate it and so on. But you encounter a paywall. In order to avoid that paywall, if the university has access to that article, you can just make sure you're connected to the school's VPN, so that way you can grab the article and download it without having to pay for it, and then you can move on with the rest of your literature search. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some things that you may want to think about for the topic, which is memory. We're going to be talking about memory for different types of stimuli, whether that's words or pictures or something else. And memory can mean many things. We could be talking about recognition, for example, or maybe we're talking about recall. But when you're thinking about what type of memory tasks do I want to conduct, or what has actually just been done in the literature at all, maybe some of the things that you may want to start with, the basic sort of Google searches, what type of stimuli I remember better than others. So if you type in some variation of that question into Google, you may see something like this, where you see something talking about meaningful stimuli, which may be interesting to you. Maybe you scroll down a bit and you actually find some empirical paper that's talking about the role of meaning in visual memory. Then what I'd recommend you do is just sort of skim through that abstract, see if there's something here that catches your eye, and then continue reading if so, or if not, maybe back out and check a different article. One thing I do want to point out when you are looking at research articles for the purpose of inspiration for your own studies, maybe you're looking to replicate some type of effect or something like that, it is important to note the particular method that people are using in their papers to tackle the questions that they're asking. And so perhaps you see something, for example, like in this paper where they used EEG. If you don't have access to an EEG machine, maybe we want to consider a different paper that has a different set of methodology. Other things you may want to look up, just sort of out of the gate. Maybe you're interested in memory for pictures, and so you want to know what kind of pictures I remember better than others, and you'll see some information that talks about it. Maybe you see this particular effect from Wikipedia, talking about the picture superiority effect, and you want to study that in more detail. If you ever decide to sort of look at something from Wikipedia, the one thing I will recommend that you do, just to make sure that we are continuing our research in line with things that are in the literature and have empirical backing, is to actually check out the footnotes you'll see for particular statements, like for this very first sentence here. And if you go here, this will actually allow you to access some of the articles that are being referenced in this Wikipedia page. So maybe I'm interested in this one, on recognition memory for words, sentences, and pictures. And because I'm connected to the school's VPN, I can actually view this PDF and read further if I'm interested. Other things you might want to look up. What are common memory recognition tasks if you're interested in studying recognition? And so then you may see something like this broad overview from Science Direct. Or maybe you see some page on recognition memory that you may want to dive further into, so on and so forth. When it comes to looking up things in Google Scholar, maybe you'll ask a question like, memory recognition task pictures. Maybe you just look up sort of these keywords and see what comes up. And maybe we're interested in this particular article. You can click on it here. Again, we're connected to the school's VPN, and we do have access to this through CU, so we can check out that PDF if we like. We can also just sort of read through the abstract, see if this particular study seems interesting. Maybe we want to try to replicate what they found here in some way or another. And one thing I will recommend is that when you're looking at articles, to scroll down to the bottom sometimes, because if you take a look in the appendix section, you'll actually be able to see some things like the stimuli that they use. So here's the names of the pictures that they used in their study. In terms of your annotated bibliography, all we're looking for you to have here is your full citation, as well as a paragraph that's basically summing up what problem was being addressed in this article, what were the methods they used to address that problem, what did they find, and what did those findings mean for the literature as a whole. These are the things that you'll want to include when you're writing up your introduction section. The last thing I want to show you all is the template for the informed consent document. Now, this template is the template you will also find on our school's IRB website, such that if you ever creating a protocol to submit to the IRB, this is the template they're going to ask you to use. When I have submitted protocols to the IRB, this is the template that I have used for my informed consent form. And all you have to do is just sort of read through these different sections and make sure you're including the information that you see, such that you've got the purpose of your study, you're explaining your procedures, you're walking through, are there any risk or discomfort? How are we keeping information confidential? So on and so forth, contact, etc., etc. That's all I have for you guys today, so good luck on this lab assignment. I think it shouldn't be too bad, but as always, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, or let's talk about it in lab.